Welcome into the Paul Farrington Show, a quick solo show today. Happy Thursday morning to everybody. Later tonight, myself, Jack, Ziggy, Zach, we'll all be back. We're doing a mailbag, so you still have some time to drop in questions right now. If you go over to our community page on the home tab, you could leave a question. There's an open-ended box for you to type out a comment, question, whatever you want to talk about. We're going to try to get to as many questions as we can later tonight. Those are always fun. We appreciate everybody who's left a comment so far, so feel free to head over there. If you're enjoying these videos, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel as we chase down 20,000 subscribers. It's a pretty big number. It's pretty cool to be getting close here, so hopefully we can continue to narrow that gap. And then if you can't watch on YouTube, you can always listen on audio on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts. So there's a few stories that I want to talk about this morning here. The Bears made another great trade. We're going to hit that in a second with Joe Thuney. Maxx Crosby is now the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of football. DK Metcalf has requested a trade. We'll talk about that and why the Packers are probably keeping their eye on that situation as it continues to get better and better for them. But I want to start off here we'll start with the Packers today, and then we'll transition on. So Joey Bosa was released by the Los Angeles Chargers. And I know that he's had a lot of injuries over the course of his career. It's one of those careers that you look at and say, I wonder what that could have been. There are always guys like that you feel terrible for them, but you wonder if they had been able to stay healthy, what could it have looked like? And Joey Bosa, I don't know if he would have been legendary status or anything like that, but pretty damn good pass rusher. And when he's on the field, he's one of the best in the business. It was not long ago that we talked about Joey Bosa the same way we do about his brother or Maxx Crosby or Myles Garrett, these elite guys that are commanding so much money. I mean, at this point now with Maxx Crosby, all-time money. Joey Bosa was in that discussion not so long ago. And it's crazy because sports, and particularly the NFL, they move so quickly. And it's such a week-to-week sport that I always talk about, that you kind of forget how good this guy has been when he's on the field. And I know he's kind of declining now, but there's definitely still some juice there. So he's missed 28 of 51 regular season games. 3 games in 2024 were missed, which actually, compared to the last 3 years, is pretty good last season, only missing 3 games. But it's funny when you take a look back at this now from the Green Bay Packer perspective. They need an edge rusher. We all know that. Talked about Maxx Crosby before. Talked about Myles Garrett before. Another one of Bosa's Chargers teammates, Khalil Mack, is a great fit there. A lot of Packers fans want him, and that's one that I could still see happening at this point. But Joey Bosa, his pressure total from last year would have ranked second on Green Bay. And he missed 3 games too and had a down year. Rashawn Gary had 26 pressures. Bosa had 19. You go down from there, you had Kingsley Enagbare with 13. Devontae Wyatt, 12. Kenny Clark, 11. This Packer pass rush really was kind of non-existent at times last season. They were 26th in their pass rush win rate in the league. There's a lot of room for improvement here. A lot of room. And it's one of the biggest areas of need, as we've said so many times this offseason, for Green Bay to address as they move into next season and really want to take this leap to being a contender. It's fun in games, when you're a young team making a run, but now Green Bay is ready to win. And one of the most important aspects on any football team at this point in time is pass rush. And Green Bay is weak there. They're not just neutral. They've been weak at that position. So Joey Bosa would immediately come in and be one of the better pass rushers on the team for Green Bay, amazingly. You look across that division with total pressures. The Vikings had 5 guys with 17 or more pressures. Detroit had 4 of them. Chicago had 3. Now, the 3 for Chicago, too, all had 22 or more pressures on the season as well. So Rashawn Gary led the Packers with 26. Your next guy had 13. Chicago had 3 dudes over 22. Lions 4, Vikings 5. These teams could get after the quarterback. And Detroit didn't even play with their best one for most of the season in Aiden Hutchinson. And that makes everything so much easier for everybody else on the team. So Joey Bosa, when you first think about it, again, the first thought that comes to mind are the injuries. And I saw Andy Herman, he came on the show, does great work. I saw a funny tweet from him. He said, I'm seeing a lot of the same people that drag every single injured Packer all season long, super interested in Joey Bosa all of a sudden, ... Put up a little meme that just said, should I tell them? And that's the fact of the matter with Bosa is you do have to worry about the injuries. They're a major concern. 5 games played in 2022, 9 games played in 2023, 14 games played in 2024. So if you do make a move there, and I bet a lot of Packers fans don't want to go after him. That's my guess, is that they're listening to this saying, Paul, we're staying out of that business. We're a young team that's trying to win for a long time here. We don't need Joey Bosa, A, because he gets injured all the time. B, we're looking for a younger upgrade right here. Now, Khalil Mack is a different story because he plays on the field more. My advice would be here, if you can get Bosa for cheap, and I have to imagine the contract won't be crazy given the injury history, you have to take a look at it because he's better than most guys on your roster, right? You don't want a 30-year-old pass rusher. That's never the ideal situation. You don't want a guy who's hurt all the time. But assuming that's not a massive deal, then he could be worth the price. And look, if you do happen to walk into a healthy year of Bosa, now we're talking one of the best edge rushers in football, and you're probably going to get him at a discounted price. It's a little bit of a gamble. But sometimes to win a Super Bowl, you need luck on your side. You need injury luck on your side. You need some guys to have career years. You need your quarterback to not turn the football over and get hot at the right moment. There are a lot of things that go into winning a Super Bowl. Sometimes it's worth a little gamble when there's really, hopefully, not much of a cost. That's the thing. If Bosa's coming out and saying, I want premier money or close to it, you say, okay, see you, Joey. Like, we'll find our guy somewhere else. But if Bosa wants a chance to win and isn't going to hold that team hostage for a ton of money, yeah, I mean, I think it's worth a shot. Now, we'll see what happens with Khalil Mack. But I wouldn't be too surprised if we start hearing some more Packer Joey Bosa murmurings, and Green Bay fans, frankly, should be interested in it as well. Now, another player that Green Bay fans are definitely interested in is DK Metcalf, and he officially requested a trade from the Seahawks. With all the murmurings last week, particularly Packers and DK Metcalf related, now to have DK ask for a trade here, the writing's on the wall that his time in Seattle is pretty much coming to an end. And Josina Anderson reported yesterday that apparently one team has offered at least a 3rd-round pick or is willing to give a 3rd-round pick to the Seahawks in exchange for DK. Who knows if that team's the Packers or not. If Green Bay wants, they maybe throw in Dontavian Wicks or Romeo Doubs there to escalate that up and could win that deal there. I'd rather give Dontavian Wicks. I think Doubs is a better player. But if you're able to make that upgrade and bring in an alpha receiver like DK Metcalf, someone who's going to command more attention than any of the 4 Packer receivers, especially with Christian Watson on IR for probably most of the season. That's a move that Green Bay fans and the Packers should 100% be into. They're in the DK Metcalf game right now. And it's interesting because initially it looked like the price tag was going to be very high, and it still might be. You know, we're just hearing still rumors right now. But a lot of Packers fans are saying, are we really going to give up a 1st-round pick? Some people are saying 1st-round pick in Doubs or Wicks for DK Metcalf. I wouldn't do that. I mean, DK's a good receiver, but 1st-round pick plus a very good receiver feels like a pretty heavy price tag to pay for someone that you're not confident in is necessarily going to be an elite receiver for that long. I think DK Metcalf will be very good for a few more years, but he's not a sure thing in the same. He's not on the tier of the Justin Jeffersons or the Jamar Chases. So you don't want to package mortgage over too much. So why is it moved over to a 3rd-round pick now? Part of that reason is because DK's got 1 year left on his contract. He's getting paid $18 million this year. He wants an extension. So automatically, whoever's taking on DK Metcalf next season, you don't want to hand over these massive deals. And receivers, we're seeing where that contract market's going right now. You're a little hesitant to trade for someone that if you're going to make a move here, you're going to want to extend DK. So already hesitant there. You're giving up draft capital as well. All of it together is we're not paying a 1st-round pick, a good receiver, and a heavy contract. That's just too much. We don't want to be in that game. So now, if Green Bay is willing to extend DK, you might have a little bit more leverage here saying, hey, we know your market, Seattle, is not that hot, but we can offer you a good receiver, a solid receiver, and a solid draft pick. It's not premier draft capital, but it's probably more than you're going to get elsewhere, this deal that we can offer, this package. So I think that Green Bay, as this situation continues to develop, it continues to move more in their favor. I still don't think DK is my pick for the guy to go to the Packers, but I'm starting to believe it more than I did a week ago when the report first came out. And I was like, yeah, geez, come on. I don't want to see DK in green and gold. But between Devontae, DK Metcalf, any other free agent receivers that are out there right now, someone's going to the Packers. It's just a matter of who. So let me know in the comments section who you want that guy to be. Again, please remember, if you're enjoying this content, to like and subscribe to the channel. Appreciate everybody who's sticking around right now and hopefully enjoying the Thursday morning show. Even though I'm going solo here. I know I don't have my crew with me, so it's always, and my voice is a little hoarse right now. But yeah, it's always a little weird doing a solo show. Slowly get more comfortable with them. But it's definitely a different vibe, right? when you don't have Jack next to me and Ziggy and Zach with all their shenanigans. So a couple more topics that I want to talk about here. The first one, the Bears trading for Joe Thuney. On the heels of the Jonah Jackson trade, which we talked about, there's a video out right now, the instant reaction, the emergency podcast to Jonah Jackson going to the Chicago Bears. Yesterday, they turn around and make a bigger splash. Joe Thuney from the Kansas City Chiefs for a 4th-round pick in the 2026 draft. Not this year, the 2026 draft. I love whenever a team can make a trade and they're giving away like a 4th, a 5th, a 6th rounder for a star, potential star, former star player. Almost every single time I look at that and go, what an unbelievable win. Unless if you're paying a ridiculous contract that's going to cripple you for years, I always want to get that star player. And that's sort of the thing that, Howie Roseman's and the Eagles have been doing this, where they see a good player open on the market, go get him. And if you can do it for cheap, if you can draft Jalen Carter at 10 or 11 instead of 1, go get him. Like, why? What is I don't understand here. Is being an NFL GM just a lot easier than I think it is? Because sometimes you see these teams make these trades and you go, wow, that's like, why didn't my team do that? The Vikings have been struggling on the interior offensive line for years. It's been one thing I've pounded the desk about. Why did we not do that? And now the Bears are starting to make these sorts of moves. It's like Joe Thuney, I'm telling you guys, Jackson was a nice addition. Joe Thuney's the real deal here, man. Leader, champion, 4-time Super Bowl champion, twice with the Patriots, twice with the Chiefs. He's been in the game 5 times. Just a damn good football player. First team All-Pro the last 2 years. Second team All-Pro 2019 and 2022. And the Bears haven't had a Pro Bowl offensive lineman since 2018. The last All-Pro offensive lineman they had was 2006. This guy might be the best left guard in football here. Best left guard in football, doesn't get injured. Like, how good does that get for Chicago? 98.6% of his games, 146 out of 148 regular season games he's played since entering the league with the Patriots. What a home run win here. The only downside, maybe, that you could say for Chicago is that he's older. He's 32 right now, which, again, some offensive linemen can go into their mid-30s, even late 30s. Look at Trent Williams. Dude's still rolling, or dude was rolling for a long time. The versatility of Joe Thuney is great. You can plug him in at left guard. That's where he naturally fits, but you could throw him in at center. You could throw him in at tackle if you need to in a pinch. The guy can really play anywhere across the line. Like, this is just like a phenomenal trade for Chicago. And Ben Johnson came in. You're kind of seeing what he prioritizes, right? In Detroit, I know he had Jared Goff and Amon-Ra and Jahmyr Gibbs. Those guys get all the attention. Those guys make the splashy plays. Although I think Penei Sewell is probably one of the more well-known offensive linemen in the league right now. I mean, they had a great offensive line. One of the 2 best in football, them and the Eagles. That was the calling card for Detroit, really, when you get down to it. Like, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs are amazing talents, but that push starts up front. I mean, the holes that these guys run through at times, I'm not trying to take anything away from those running backs. I think they're 2 of the best in football. You could hear me go back to the beginning of the year, so high on Jahmyr Gibbs. I think David Montgomery's been one of my favorite players in the league for a while. They're amazing. But it starts up front with Detroit. You give Jared Goff time and he's had a lot of time in Detroit to throw the football. He'll pick you apart. That's the foundation. That's what started this whole thing, was nailing the offensive line, having superstars there. So Ben Johnson comes into Chicago. That's a weak point, and clearly it's something that he wants to prioritize. That's clearly something that he needs. We talk about the sack numbers for Caleb last year. Fix up front. Ben Johnson will take care of the issues that Caleb has in contributing to those sacks. Joe Thuney for a 2026 fourth. Jonah Jackson for a 2025 sixth. Instantly improve the offensive line. Instantly changes the way that this offense can look next year. It's like, the more you look at this, you just have to say, like, the Chicago Bears have finally figured it out. This is how championship teams operate here, right? You identify your weakness and you fix it. We need a better head coach. Go get Ben Johnson, best one on the market. We need to fix our offensive line. Trade for Joe Thuney. Trade for Jonah Jackson. I mean, these are massive improvements Chicago's making here. And there's probably still more to come, honestly, this offseason. Like, they are right now one of the easy winners of this offseason with the moves they're making and what they've given up for the guys. So now they've given Caleb Williams basically everything he needs to succeed. Almost everything. There's a few more holes they need to plug here or there. But this team is kind of ready to make that leap. It just depends. Do you believe Caleb will do it? And if you think he will, if you think Caleb Williams is that guy, yeah, you need a center. Yeah, maybe another weapon would be good here. But this team is ready to roll. It might take a little time to gel. Like, you have to give that time. But assuming that Ben Johnson can come in and do what he says he can, you have to like the situation of the Chicago Bears. I know that as Packers fans, as Vikings fans, Lions fans, a lot of the people who listen to this podcast, we like to make fun of Chicago. We like to say they'll screw it up no matter what. But the more you look at what's happening there, the more you're starting to realize, there's a change in what's happening. The decision making, the guys that they're bringing in, the way that entire organization operates has been different this offseason. Really over the past two, honestly. And Ryan Poles has done a really nice job. Of course, the trade that wound up landing them, Caleb Williams, with the Panthers, worked out probably better than they possibly could have imagined. You know, getting Caleb, getting DJ Moore, offensive line help. Like, I mean, that could not have worked out better. But they've really had a great past two off seasons in trying to turn this thing around. And I know last year didn't go exactly the way they wanted to, but after the 4-2 start, really after the Washington game. But I think they're trending for sure in the right direction. And you have to acknowledge that. You just have to. Last thing, the Raiders making Maxx Crosby the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. 3 years, $106.5 million on the deal. Dude, the money here is just insane. Like, I'm talking about my job, and I'm like always hoping to get a bump. And look at the podcast numbers. We're trying to get a bump. Like, 91 million. I just can't. Like, I can't even fathom that much money. 91 guaranteed. So he turns 28 in August. 7.5 sacks last year. Only played 12 games, so didn't have a full season. But Maxx Crosby still made an impact. While he's been in Vegas. You know, I was trying to look at here. I was thinking of the best pass rushers in the league, and you have Myles Garrett. You know, Browns, horrible. You have TJ Watt. Steelers haven't won a playoff game in like 8 years. Micah Parsons. Cowboys haven't really made noise lately. I mean, last year they were bad, but they haven't made playoff noise. I'm thinking of all the teams with the elite pass rushers in the league, and they just, you're not seeing a lot of these elite top end guys go on playoff runs right now. Again, I'd still pay these guys. You have to look at what the Eagles did against the Chiefs. Their pass rushing is so important, but it was just kind of interesting to me that a lot of these top end guys who are getting paid high money, like other than Bosa making the run with the 49ers, a lot of their teams aren't that great right now. But the Raiders have finished below 500 in 4 of Crosby's 6 years. 1 playoff appearance. It was the loss to the Bengals in the 21-22 season. There's a lot of wanting from Vegas fans in terms of being more competitive. And Maxx Crosby came out and said he wants Aaron Rodgers this year. And I actually don't think he's crazy for saying that because of what the options are in Vegas. They can go for the rookie quarterback this year. They can make a move, and I think they're in that picture right now, that conversation. But these guys want to win, and it's been a long time. So a lot of listeners are going to hear this and say, well, Aaron Rodgers isn't the guy. But of all the quarterbacks out there right now, the best chance of having that magical season is probably Rodgers coming in and just being great, which is unlikely. Of course it is. But, Darnold, I liked Sam a lot. I love Darnold. If you bring him in, who knows when he's not playing with the team and the coach he has in Minnesota, who knows how that's going to look. A rookie quarterback, obviously great to hope to build on the future. Probably not going to have instant success. That's why Maxx Crosby saying, I want a guy. I want Aaron Rodgers. He's Aaron Rodgers, for crying out loud. Let's see what he has. But you go back to look at the situation with Max here. In that division, you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. You have Justin Herbert and John Harbaugh. And you have Bo Nix coming off a really good rookie season with Sean Payton. You have to be able to get after the quarterback in that division. You just have to. And Maxx Crosby is one of the best in the very world. Very world. And Maxx Crosby is one of the very best in the world. Don't know what happened there. And, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. So it's clearly a ton of money. But there are certain guys in this league that you just can't let walk out of the building. I think about Justin Jefferson, and people are saying, oh, would the Vikings potentially trade him? Or what's going to happen there? If the Vikings got rid of Justin Jefferson, damn, I would have been furious coming on this podcast. There are certain guys that are so good, you need to make sure they stay in your building. And I get that there are trade rumors for everybody, and that everybody, of course, would be interested in a guy like Maxx Crosby, but the Raiders couldn't let him leave. Like, he's that good. I've heard some people talking about since he got the contract, like, oh, yeah, I don't put him on the tier with these elite guys. You got to watch the games then. You have to watch the games then. He's unbelievable, this guy. So a good job from the Raiders in keeping Max around. Now, of course, I hold this opinion, Jack does, basically anyone who's a football fan. You need a quarterback. You're not winning till you get the quarterback. So it's a great move. Keep your star in the building. Because the thing is, what Jaden Daniels and CJ Stroud have showed us over the past couple of years now is that things can change very quickly when your guy comes in. If the Raiders wind up hitting in the draft, if that's the direction they go, well, now you have now you have Maxx Crosby leading a defense that you think might be capable of taking you on a run. There are more pieces to fix in Vegas. But you're just waiting for that quarterback to come in, and it changes quickly when it happens. So make sure the surrounding team is ready to go. That's what I'm viewing the Crosby thing here. Obviously, you keep the great player, but also once you get the quarterback, you can compete quickly. But if your team around isn't ready, if you trade everything away right now, especially a guy like Max, then you're going to have to continue that rebuild with your rookie. So Washington was in a good spot last year. I thought they made great moves over the offseason. So that when Jaden came in, they were ready to go. The Texans, we didn't realize it, but they had Nico Collins, they had Tank Dell, they had Derek Stingley. Like, they had a lot of guys that came up all at once, and it worked out. So it's a great move for Vegas keeping their guy. Okay, that'll do it for today's episode. We got the mailbag coming out tomorrow. We're recording that later tonight. Please remember to leave a question or a comment if you want. Could be on anything, whatever you want to talk about. It's the off season. We don't care. And I'll see you soon. Thanks.